She's getting contacts now. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if she's getting them.
Oh, I see.
She has to be fitted and make sure she can
manage it.
According to Shelley, yeah. They have to put them in and take them out 3 times before you can leave with them.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, hi, everybody. I did it. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Meg just can't do it.
No,
so I
don't sound that chipper. I do not sound like, well, let's see. If I sounded like a Sesame Street character, it would be...
Which character would you be?
The Grouch. Oscar the Grouch.
No.
Well, I kind of sound like the chef when I do my audience.
Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy. Swedish Chef?
Yeah, the Swedish Chef.
What, Gonzo, maybe?
I got the nose for it.
Oh, man. Easy. Settle down. All right, let's get the announcements out from there. I had it up here a second ago. There they are.
Okay.
All right, this is actually OB. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, we have had a wild week of calls, and Rachel's family was in town, so that was cool to see them. And
yeah, that was fun.
Has been call after call and planning and things, so it's lots of fun.
Helping people all over the place. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Rachel's speaking at a Penn webinar early in the morning.
Yeah, so Penn is Performance Excellence Network. It's based out of Minneapolis, and Susan is the Black Hills representative for the she's a rep for the Black Hills chapter, or is acting in that capacity. And so yeah, I'm giving a webinar on entitled Misfit, when something like, subtitle is, when situations, teams, or organizations don't fit. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
Cool.
Weekly quote.
My eyeballs.
Way over here.
Yeah. Okay, weekly quote. When the majority of us confront change, we chew on all the ways to fail instead of on all the ways to learn. So stop thinking about failure. Failure thoughts beget failure actions.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to my dad about this, and you know, one of the things I think that's a challenge for some people is they can't see the end game. You know, they can't see the mountaintop. Like, all they see is the swamp in front of them, and they can't see that they just go right and they can go this way, and then they can still get to the thing. I think people forget to anchor in the good thing, because I think if you do that, then you're like, yeah, this might stink for a while, but we can make.
I would go even one step further and say a lot of people don't know how.
I think that's true.
I think it has to be maybe learned or taught at a young age, like how to anchor in something good. And I think a lot of people aren't taught that because, you know, toil and hard work is the only way to get there. So you have to suffer.
Yeah, I think so. I think also the more you do it, the better you get. So I'm not sure it has to be. I think if you don't learn it young, I think you learn it old, but it's harder. Mm-hmm. It's a harder lesson.
Like learning a new language.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anything.
Yeah.
If you learn anything new after the age of 8, it is not your indigenous thought pattern, psychological pattern. It's harder.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
No. Money blocks. Go figure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, weekly writing prompt.
You changed this one.
I did change it. So, think about your things that you do that you wish you didn't do, and don't say, "Oh, I like everything I do. I'm great at the way I handle life." That's not true. We all have things.
I'm great at the way I handle life.
So
I'm great at adulting. What are you talking about?
I'm great at adulting. So write down 5 things, or at least 3 things that you would like to really be intentional about focusing on, that you want to be able to do differently, or situations you want to be able to handle differently. So I think that's really an important way. You know, people ask us all the time, well, how do I be a better leader? How do I be a better teammate? How do I be a better parent?
How do I have a better company?
How do I have a better company? How do I live a better life? Well, you have to focus on the stuff that you're not good at. That's how. And not very often do you hear people say that. You hear a lot of people say, focus on the good things and your life will get better. That is so true. Except if you still suck at a lot of things, or even one thing that's really important,
A pivot.
you're not going to probably be successful. So think about the things that you wish you would do differently, or you wish you'd just spend some time reflecting on, or investing some time in and thinking about, how could I do this differently and be more comfortable in this situation?
Yes, hope is not a strategy. So if you wish you were better at managing money, take a class, do some online training, change how you do it. I mean, you
Read a Dave Ramsey book.
read a Dave. That might not be the right book, but that's a place to start. So be sure that you're thinking through, like, how can you actually change your behavior? Stop hoping things change.
Yes.
I do that adulting comment. It did make me think of a really funny, probably a meme I saw, which I think you'll appreciate. Said, one thing about being an adult that nobody ever talks about is that we all have a favorite pan.
Like a cooking pan?
Like a cooking pan. Do you have a favorite cooking pan
Oh, I
that you go to every time you go?
well, I'm so in my very self-driven, in my order-tolerant behavior, I have one pan
See?
because I don't need more than one pan. I can just keep washing it and use it again. So
That's right.
I
See what I'm
have one
talking about?
pan.
We have favorite pans. Cappy is a cast iron pan, man. And I don't mind if they're clean, but you have to clean cast iron in a different way than normal pans. And so a lot of times they're sitting on the stove unwashed, or no, you don't wash them, you clean them. So they're uncleaned, waiting to be done the magic cast iron way. And so I always end up using other pans. So
What's your favorite one?
anything that doesn't stick, that's pretty much my favorite pan. So I have my favorite is a big fry pan. That's because I can use that for pretty much anything.
All right. Interesting.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So.
We have some questions
Yes.
next. Next questions. Feel free to ask your own. People watching.
All right, so here's
All
the
right.
first question. My company does not have any policies regarding COVID-19 other than we have to wear masks if we're working within 6 feet of another employee.
Oh, I know where this came from.
We have no policies on COVID-19 conduct when we are not in our manufacturing facility. One of my coworkers tested positive while on vacation last week. A few of us are now quarantined and awaiting test results. My boss is threatening disciplinary action if we test positive. What steps should I take to protect my job? Here's Meg. Well, first I would say that's a very strange,
Well, the interesting thing,
very strange situation.
It seems like to me, one of the reasons that employers aren't worried about getting sued, about, let's say I go to work and I catch it from you, but there's no way to prove that I got it at work. I got it from the grocery store, I could have got it from church, I could have got it from walking the dog, and I stopped and talked to a neighbor, whatever. So there is really no way to prove a chain of contagion, basically. So if your boss is threatening to fire you because you caught it from something, like you test positive, there's like no way that they know that they got it from their coworker, and maybe you weren't following appropriate social distancing. I mean, assume that's why you get fired here, is if you weren't following the rules. But how in the world do they prove it? I mean, they don't have to. That's the trap, though.
Well,
Right to work state.
But I would say, I would liken this to, well, you're all women, or you're all black, or you're all whatever. So I'm going to let you
Seems
go.
like a giant red flag, right?
If you're all potentially exposed to COVID, it doesn't matter to me how it got that way.
Right.
You're going to all be fired. So first of all, if you're listening, you should take back those words immediately and contact an employment law attorney, because you're probably about
Protect
to
yourself.
get your ass in a sling. Employee, if you are listening, what I would say is same advice minus the ass in the sling part. I would get an employment law attorney to draft a letter for you and say, I understand that these are the principal arguments that X company is making for my potential dismissal and, or my client, if the attorney's going to write it, my client's potential dismissal, and here are the reasons why that is a bad move. And you'll be hearing more from me if in fact that happens. I would say if you were in a position to make decisions for anyone's employment right now, follow guidelines that we have for discrimination, ADA, any kind of guidelines, federal guidelines, well, the rules that exist now. Liken COVID to all of those things. Basically, it's a discriminatory category at this point. So I would just be real kid gloves with the situation. There may be, in fact, people making bad decisions or not, yourself included, or not. No one knows where it's coming from or where it's going next.
Well, and it strikes me, if you took the COVID out of it, let's say somebody came to work, well, let's say you got, doesn't matter the contagion or where you got it. Let's say you come to work and you have HIV, and then someone fires you because you have HIV. I mean, that seems like a discriminatory shit, right? I mean, you can't get away from it. So you know what I mean?
That's a great point, because, yeah, another binding set of policies that companies should be adhering to is HIPAA. So technically, you're being decent and self-reporting and saying, hey, I tested positive for COVID, I have to stay home.
Everyone I've talked to should be tested.
Yeah, they technically, I mean, you're being kind and self-reporting or following their policy and self-reporting, but they technically, well, one, shouldn't even know that, but you reported it, so good for you. Two, they really can't do anything about it. That is absolute retaliation based on medical information.
Right?
That is a big no. So
yeah, get it. So for the employee, get an attorney.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, this is a medical issue. If you should. There's no way you can make business decisions based on an individual's medical history.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I would imagine almost every employment law attorney in the world right now probably has a draft
of this letter. Insert name here.
Yeah, the benefit, so you probably could find the language online yourself and submit the letter yourself, and that is also fine. The benefit of having it submitted on the letterhead of an attorney's office is, in fact, that it is submitted on the letterhead from an attorney's office. That gets people's dander up. So it's we won't call it a scare tactic, but we will.
It tells them that you're serious.
That's right.
Basically. All right. So next question. I'm really beginning to feel the stress of the world right now. I've completely fallen off the self-care wagon. What tips do you have to get my mindset back on track to take care of myself? I feel like my productivity levels at work and my self-care routine at home are directly related. They are. So one of the kicks I've been on, which I'm going to just keep on riding because I love to use it in this instance, is that a lot of times our mindset is hard to shift and so sometimes you have to take the action first. And then when you take a little self-care, like I just wrote a note to myself, nails over here because I need to get my nails done. So sometimes just doing something, putting something on the calendar, reading a book, taking a bath, going on a hike, going on a run, whatever your self-care is or has been. Sometimes just the doing makes your mindset shift, right? So if you wait to figure out to talk yourself into something, then a lot of times it takes ridiculously long time and it's really hard to get done. But if you just decide, hey, I'm going to put something small on my calendar, half hour or whatever that you feel like you can do without stressing yourself out, then it sometimes kicks in those happy hormones or those warmer feelings and all of that good stuff, all the dopamine instead of all of the cortisol, which is the stress hormones. And the cool thing is about that is that will feed itself, right? So then you're like, well, maybe I should do that next week and then the next week. So sometimes you just have to plan it in and do the action, even if you don't feel like it, because once you start doing it, it'll actually help you get there a lot faster.
Yeah, I would add that the very first thing you should do if you're feeling the stress of the world right now is give yourself a break from the world's news.
Right? Stop watching.
I can't tell you how many people I have given this advice to. I very truly do not listen to the news because we talk about the spheres of influence. So there's the things you can control, which is like this big. You can't see how big the circle is. This big, hardly anything. And then there are the things you can influence, which is not much bigger, a little bit bigger. And then there's the whole rest of the world that you have zero impact on. Zero impact. So you're stressed out about all the things that are happening in, Germany, or what the reporting is. There's a new swine flu in China, and there's this and that. You can do nothing about that. But your brain attaches value to that information, and then it starts focusing on it, and then it starts stressing out and causing anxiety for you. So really, first, shut off the news for a little bit. I mean, if you are a news fiend, fine. If you're a social media fiend, fine. But limit your exposure to that garbage, or insert whatever other word that you find that to be. And then the other thing I would say is really write down a list of the things that you can control in your life. You can, if it stresses you out to go in public and you see people not wearing a mask, can you control them? Nope. But you can control your own actions, so you can wear a mask. You can limit how much you go into public. You can, go into public places where there's plenty of space for social distancing. So maybe when you want to see people, be around people, get out of your house or do whatever, you can go to a park. And so you're away from people. So even if what their activities are stressing you out, you can, think about what you can control. So really focus on what you can control. Stop listening to world news.
On what do you call it when you ignore someone for 30 days on Facebook?
Well, I think it's just
suspend or something.
I think it might just be ignore, suspend, unfollow for 30 days.
I'll tell you, my Facebook feed is full of historical photos, pictures of native plants and animals, babies of friends that I still look at, and that's pretty much it. And business stuff. And not even a lot of that, because a lot of the business news is all over the place. Because frankly, I don't want to hear the talking points on the politics or the stats or any of the stuff that I can't believe anyway. So I just curate what I see, what I allow to come into my field. So it is in your control to do so. So you should do that for sure, for your own mental health and those around. Great advice. I love it.
I am a fixer, and I miss networking events so much. What are your favorite virtual networking groups? This is a Rachel question.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I don't actually do a lot of virtual networking, strangely. I am a part of a couple of groups, like the people that I know, and I do jump online with those people once in a while. So I would say that most virtual working groups really stink because everyone's talking, no one's listening, it's hard to connect. So what I would recommend is, if you miss networking, is to reach out and actually connect one-on-one with people that you want to know in your community or in your space, or a client, or maybe it's a friend's contact, and grow your network that way. Create your own little group of people that we say that? We say that? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right. Well, we haven't said it yet. So we're creating a mastermind of basically people that we want to get to know and have them get to know each other better and more effectively, and to grow their network and also grow together and develop together. And so that's one strategy that you can use, because we want to keep growing and learning, but we don't want to be trapped. Hey, Chicky. We don't want to be trapped into a meeting that you can't feel like you can be effective or grow. And that's, most of them are pretty awful. So anyway, put your own together, I would say, or reach out one-on-one to people, because that's way more meaningful. We work one-on-one with people all the time, all over the US and Canada, soon to be beyond. And it is really amazing how skillfully and rewarding you can really have a personal relationship all via video. So don't be afraid to reach out to people one-on-one.
There you go.
That's my answer.
I don't have any answers about networking. I do like, I've done, they usually do these in person, but given the situation, there's a organization called Success North Dallas, and it's mostly, has historically, I guess, mostly been made up of people from Dallas, but they have some pretty good speakers on there. There's like a networking,
interesting speakers.
Yeah, interesting topics. There's like a networking.
I mean, we're going to be speakers.
Oh, that's right, we are. I forgot about that.
Clearly.
Yeah. There's a networking half hour, whatever. The half hour before the actual speaker goes on, and so that's a pretty good. Like the topic, I think this month is about. It's the CEO of Club Corp, I think, which is a social networking group, an in-person group, and it's kind of all. I think he's speaking about how now what do we do. So actually, that might be a good one to check in on because.
Yeah, and Shelly attends that really regularly, and she really finds a lot of value. She feels like she really needs people, gets to share and connect with people. So that's a good example. And also, what I found about networking generally, and decide what to go to, is that I've actually seen that really good content can bring together people that have a lot of interesting conversation. A lot of times people go to networking things just because they want to go and they want a connection, but maybe there's not a good topic or it's not well managed, and then it's kind of like meh. But I have seen where things are done quite well, and so if you can connect in with a group that does the breakouts and all of that really well. I see this.
I know,
kind of spider thing flying around. Anyway, so if you can find one that does the breakout sessions and stuff well, then it's probably worth going to, and that's what Success North Dallas is.
Yeah.
So.
And if you go on LinkedIn and just search webinars or not podcasts.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Everybody's by now, most organizations who had networking events in the past have transitioned to some sort of either Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live, or they record it and they post it on their page, which is not really a chance for networking, but you should be able to find a lot of opportunities out there if you don't even have to look that hard.
Yeah, there is one group called 1 Million Cups. It's an entrepreneurial group, and some of those organizations, they're all local, and some of those have done a really good job of transitioning online. So that might be a place to look to connect with other entrepreneurs, if that's who you are, to actually feel like you're connected and can grow. So, yeah. All right.
Okay.
We have some time. Do you want to use our little sign or our big sign?
Oh, we have to get out the
big sign. I know. I always use the little sign when I'm alone, but I only did that once.
Some good news!
Woo! Yay, good news! And our awesome joint sign by
I got it.
The Mankey Kids.
Get that. Okay, some good news. We had, a tornado. I think jury's out on that. It might have just been some
straight line
winds, but some bad juju in the weather on Monday night. But no one was hurt.
Yeah, it was actually in the middle of the national forest. So
yeah, up by Tinton.
Yeah,
or on Tinton Road. Somewhere.
On Tinton Road, yeah, just south of Spearfish. So I'm just glad it was south of Spearfish instead of.
Yes, in fact.
That is good news. All right, look at you. You're next.
Yeah, I'm. The girls and I, my daughters and I, are off to float the Niobrara River with some friends this weekend. So that's going to be pretty fun. I didn't realize, I kind of thought Niobrara's in the Sandhills, and that it would just be full of sandburs and gross shit, like Sand Creek is over here.
No, that's poison ivy country too.
Yeah, that
don't
too.
Go there. Don't do that.
And I saw somebody else went a couple weeks ago, and they had videos of this beautiful waterfall,
yeah,
and
lush trees, and shade, and yeah.
So I'm very excited to go see what this is like and relax and spend some time with good friends.
Sounds awesome. Do you want to ask the next question, or do you want to skip that story?
Oh, yeah, well, I can. It's actually, speaking of your favorite pan.
Oh.
Yeah, so just so you know, your dog can burn your house down. good news is that didn't happen at our house.
Yay, good news!
Yay, good news! On the 4th of July, we got home after a long day of parades and family gatherings and fireworks and all these things, about 11 o'clock at night, to a house that reeked of smoke. And so I ran up to the stove and realized that the dog, our relatively new dog, 7-month-old puppy, who is huge, does not look like a puppy anymore, decided she was pretty interested in what was on the pan, or what was in the pan on the stove. And so she jumped up there, and when she jumped up there, she turned the knob, and so then it smoldered the wooden spoon that was in the pan. Luckily, I think the saving grace was we have an electric stove instead of a gas. Fire. Yeah, so anyway, Shelly has let me know that she is, in fact, so kind to order me these knob protectors that you can put on your, for like kids and apparently dogs.
So you can't mess with them.
Yeah, so you can order those. Shelly would order those. Yes, and you can order those on Amazon apparently, or have Shelly order them for you.
Shelly will order them on your behalf.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
So, good news, house isn't burned down. Bad news, really stunk like smoke for a couple days.
You got to air it out, though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, good. I'm going to be hiking. Well, I'm not sure we'll complete our goal, but it's going to be fun to try.
I think you can do it.
I think we can do it. Yeah, we're going to hike 100 miles on the Centennial Trail starting next week. So I'll be here for the live. I think next week maybe by myself. Can you decide that?
Maybe by yourself.
And then the day after that, I'm packing and we're heading out. So my boyfriend, I, and our daughter, 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old daughter, will be hiking over the next week. So we will. I haven't really got my head wrapped around that. Like, totally checked out for a week. I don't know. I checked out mostly for 2 days, and I about went nuts. So.
Well, you'll be like gone. You were here. That's
true. I was in the space.
Our office is right, 20 feet away from Rachel's house, and so that's kind of almost impossible to be successful.
That's true. It's really hard. I will be. So we'll be hiking. We're gonna have some beautiful places to see, and we're gonna have to figure out a severe weather plan. We'll be in the woods.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Really, you're gonna get a Jeremiah Johnson kind of feel for the world.
Yeah, right. Ugh. Intense, but that will be really fun, and we're excited to do that. And so, yeah, it's going to be like holiday time. It's going to be fun. I do have some other good news.
Oh,
let me tell you about it.
Tell us.
So I forgot to write down what it's called, but there is going to be a 42-day long meteor shower starting on the 12th, which is like Monday or something.
12, 13, 14,
Sunday.
Yep.
And so it's going to be in the southern sky, and the peak is the end of the month, 28th and 29th. But there's a quarter moon, so it might actually be better viewing in the new moon, which is about a week before that. So 42-day meteor shower. Check it out. I am a real nerd for this stuff, especially in the summer when, like, we were out last night and it was still like 80 at like 9 o'clock at night. And so it was really warm, and you can just hang out in the dark and watch for the meteor shower. So I'll be on the trail. So if we're not under a canopy, maybe we'll get to see some, or not sleeping from exhaustion. We'll have to
right. Let's stay up.
I know, right? Well, and actually, the best viewing time is after midnight, before dawn. So maybe like 3 or 4 in the morning. So we'll see. Although we have had some bad nights of sleep. In a tent, so it might just be that's a good reason to get up.
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna make coffee and watch the meteor shower.
Right. What do you mean, Chicky? You can totally come. Come on. So that'll be our way to have an adventure, because we usually do an international trip, but we can't do that. So we still wanted an adventure that we could kind of plan and get excited about and all that stuff. So it's gonna be good. We're really excited to go. So I'll see you next week, though, before I leave. And by then, I'll probably be like, I'm leaving tomorrow. So I'll try not to be too crazy.
Yes. Helix. The Helix platform is coming out very, very soon.
So excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I was demoing it to my parents. And they're like, great, honey. Like, what is so cool?
But look at this.
So amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. it will certainly never be any more. It will never be more amazing to anyone than you and I. It's like our own child.
It really is. It takes our assessment that we provide with everybody, all the work that we do, and it automates the assessment and the results, and it allows for different, like in a big company, we can look at different teams and how they are different very easily, and it's all a web-based platform, and it's
Dreamy.
Freaking dreamy. All right, I think that's it for today.
I think so. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week, or Rachel for sure will see you next week. Lead powerfully.
Change the world. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.